Yeah, it's me again, guys. Third time of the day. There's still another one after this. So at this point, if you're not tired of hearing me, I love you. I guess I don't know. So this is the X's and O's of life and the interview edition. I don't know. I have another guest. His name is Scott Goodrich, and I kind of already like him because he has my name in his name, so it's like almost like a weird meant to be type of thing. I've been on an entrepreneurial interview kick, and this is another one. And this fella has a brand. It's EOS Worldwide. Is that correct? That's how you? That's the brand name.
That's the company I work for. Yep, EOS Worldwide
Okay.
is a company. That's not mine by any stretch. I work
Okay.
with them. I am. We individually own our businesses within EOS Worldwide, but it is a group of business coaches that are part of an organization implementing EOS. I have a couple of other businesses that are my own, separate from that. And like I said, you do own the business, but you certainly are working with others and as part of a larger organization.
So even if I would have read that correctly, I would not have been able to explain it as well as he did. So that's why he's where he is and I'm where I am. There we go. Good to know. No, I've really been attached to people that are kind of self-made almost, I think that's one of the most impressive and, I would say enviable, traits and things you can do in life to know that, hey, look, I found an avenue and I went down said avenue and I'm successful because of it. And, there's that tired trope of, hey, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah, generally speaking, people don't really love their jobs. But if you can find something that you're good at and you kind of dig, I don't really think you can ask for too much more.
Yeah.
So that's my weird little intro for you.
Sure.
You go ahead and take the reins and tell the folks who you are, what you do, your eye color, all that fun stuff.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for having me on, Rich. I greatly appreciate it. Eye color brown. Happy to be hitting in the 3 spot in the batting lineup today. We normally reserve that for the very best hitters.
Hey, it's the Sunday lineup, so
yeah. Oh man, that guy's call up. Sunday call up to fill up the week roster. No one wants to play on Sunday getaway day. Well, no, greatly appreciate it. And yeah, so I work with EOS. That's my primary gig as a business coach. We help small business owners and entrepreneurs really get what they want from their business. So a lot of visionaries, a lot of ideas, a lot of great concepts out there, and we bring the traction and execution to that process and try to help that entrepreneur make that dream a reality. So EOS is all about bringing that traction, that level of execution, discipline, and accountability to the visionaries out there in the world, making all the small businesses great. So that's the role that I play for 90+% of my day. And then also along with that, have a burgeoning podcast. So trailing you, Rich, in number of episodes, but trying to get a podcast called Grow Your Damn Business Up Off the Ground, which is a nice compliment to what I do in talking to entrepreneurs and founders and hearing their stories and journeys and how the heck they got where they are. And although it looks all smooth on the surface, they're often ducks paddling very fast underneath the surface, right? They're kicking and screaming and working hard so they can present a good face out there to potential clients and customers. And love to hear those stories and hear the vulnerabilities behind what entrepreneurs go through. So that's what I'm about.
I like it. What made you kind of jump into the podcast kind of arena?
Well, yeah, I'm a coach and a teacher and facilitator. So what better thing to do than to talk some more? Love to talk. It's great fun. No, big podcast fan first and foremost. I think it's a tremendous medium and been with it for some time. Wouldn't say I was an early adopter, but have been following some sports podcasts. Got a great love of all things sports and have got some favorite sports podcasters that have followed and seen what they've been able to do. I had a stint early on with some work in radio way back before my career actually got rolling and just have always been sort of attracted to that medium as well. So it's kind of a natural fit. So I dove in with both feet a few months ago and just trying to figure my way through it. Right. So hosting my own, trying to jump on some other shows, hear how they do things, listen to tons and tons of folks that are at various stages of their own journey, and seeing, okay, take a little bit from that person, take a little bit from that person, see how I can make it my own and figure out where to go with it. But it's a lot of fun, and it's something I really, really enjoy doing.
All right, gun to your head here. What's the best and worst part of it?
So the best part for me is the time spent that I get to spend interviewing. So my podcast is interview based. I know you've got a couple different formats you follow, but I do love to hear the stories of others. And so, getting into that with individuals, that I do like that. So that basically I was having a lot of these conversations, and I said, well, I should be having these conversations and sharing with them. So boom, let's put them on a podcast. Simple enough. For me, there's an administrative side to it that is not in my wheelhouse. Fortunately, I did go ahead and bring on a producing partner to help me with that administrative stuff, but you don't get away from it. It's still there. But that all that back office work, I have decided to delegate out to a producing partner, and he takes it with his company and does it for me. So I was able to get the stuff that I don't like to do a lot of off my plate early on. That was very, very, very much part of the deal. I was never going to get into that. I had talked to folks that, sort of did it on their own. And they shared with me the time that they're taking, and I didn't have that time to give. So I said, well, I want to do it, but I don't have that time. So what's another way? And so this is the route I went.
Yeah. I mean, this is all self-driven on my end here.
Yeah. It's a lot, right? I mean, you're doing multiple, so it's a lot. It's
but I love it. It's like a drug, man.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Like I told you before, like my co-host is like, dude, settle down, Sloz. It's like I can't. It's all I think about, which probably is a tad bit unhealthy. But I all joking aside, I view it like this. This is an indie podcast. We literally came up from nothing. We just started on Easter Sunday of this year. Right. We're going to be rolling out a football podcast in probably about a month now. And we're going to be doing that 2 days a week. I do the one with my wife. I do the one, with him.
Yeah.
And not to mention the interviews I do during the week. And I think there's something to be said, at least on my end here. I've really enjoyed, seeing this grow and knowing that we went in here literally recording on my couch with an iPhone. Now I'm recording at my dining room table with microphones and an iPhone. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that repetition is
moving
so critical.
on up.
Well, no, hey, the repetition is critical. That's how you're going to get there, right? Because it's going to give you the confidence, which is key. And it's also going to give you the learning, right? That there's going to be. Anyone starting any entrepreneurial journey. I had a client I was talking to just this week, and we were talking about entrepreneurial journey, and he's very early on in his, and I was just sharing with him, look, you've got to get in a mindset where you're going to go up, and then it's going to come back down, and you're going to have these moments in time like, why did I do this again? And what is this about? And then you're going to hit something and get a couple of clients, and boom, you're going to be back up again. And then a supplier is going to fail you, or something else is going to happen, and you're going to drop back down again. And you just got to find your way and navigate through that, because you're going to hit these ceilings all the way through the journey. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a podcast or a new franchise you're opening or a business idea that you've got or whatever. That's just a natural part of it. And to the degree that you can really wrap your arms around and understand that and be in the right headspace, it's going to really help you through that. And so you're fighting those battles, and as you take each step forward, that's a gain, that's a win. And living in those gains is so critical.
Yeah, I mean, 2 points. I mean, if running a business if running a business is easy, everybody would do it. It's simple as that. And not to mention, I've always kind of thought this mantra was cool. If it's easy, it's usually not worth it.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. You're saying it exactly the way that I think about it as well, right? If it's easy, everyone would do it, right? So the joys in overcoming the difficulties of it and seeing how you come out on the other side, right? And that journey, that struggle, there's a lot to be said from that. And that's where you're going to grow. That's where the growth is going to come from, right? You don't grow when things are calm and easy. You grow in the times of difficulty. So, Love that you're jumping in. I was going to say to you earlier when you were saying that it's always on your mind. If something like that is always on your mind, you've got something, right? And what it is today may not be what it is in the future, but you've got something. And so you're grabbing it with both hands, and you're going to figure out how to wrestle it to the ground so that it really becomes the thing that you want it to be. But you absolutely have something because it's on your mind, and you're got a vision. You're creating some ideas around it, and I would say pursue that.
Oh yeah, and the other part of this podcast, well, two things. So we had two separate podcasts between me and my friend, and one was family friendly, and then one was explicit. And the explicit one really didn't vary much from the other one. It just had more ings and ers in it, and it's like, okay. And there was really no substance to it. And the thing that really put me over the edge was the wife was like, yeah, I don't even listen to it anymore. It kind of sucks. I'm like, oh God, that hurts. Ow.
Oh, ouch.
All right.
Ouch.
All right. Fair enough. So then we changed the format. The normal format of X's and O's is we do a topic, we do a draft, and then we do a topic. There you go. Simple, easy, bang, bang. And the other one just was that without a draft. So we changed the other one to one subject, and that worked well. And I liked it for a few weeks, and then that became kind of stale, and it became a kind of we're reaching for topics, we're reaching for subjects. So I think it was like last week, I made an executive decision of saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. Our pods usually run an hour. What we're going to do is we're going to do one pod a week. We're going to take the X's and O's. We're going to infuse that with the other podcast and take the perks of that and mush them together. We'll still have our draft because people like that for some reason. Don't know why. And we're just going to make it an hour and a half. And then we then had the idea of, and this is kind of the Patreon only content, but after we would record, we would just have like a half-hour long conversation, and half the time we'd have better stuff on that conversation than we would actually on the pod. So we decided, let's record that too.
Yeah.
Let's have it be the off the beaten path kind of, the post game. And funny enough, we actually named it the post game.
Beautiful.
But over this process, I have evolved, and we have evolved, and we've figured out different ideas and different ways to go about doing it. And that's partially because my mind is always on it. And I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but this is based on passion. I love doing this. I want to do this. And over the last 3 months, that's yet to falter at all. If anything, it's just grown. So nice. I look at it from a business standpoint. Yes, obviously I'd like this to be lucrative. Obviously I'd like this to be career oriented, but I would like to, dip my feet in other ventures, i.e. that co-op thing.
Yeah.
But at the straight foundation of this is a fun thing. And I feel as long as that's still that to us, then this thing can't fail. So that's why.
Yeah, if you're setting those
pitch.
parameters on it, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that's if you can meet that objective there, whatever you're defining it as, and it may evolve over time, but you meet that primary objective, which is it feeds your soul in some way. You're calling it fun, you're calling it passion, but it feeds you in some way. If that's the primary objective, then yeah, absolutely cannot fail. If you want it to be something more, then that will come over time as it evolves, and you find that voice. I had a question for you since you were talking through that.
Yes.
Have you talked to other folks about how they have taken their podcast next level and how they are defining success for their podcasts? Have you had those conversations?
So funny enough, it tends to come up on the interviews a little bit. Mm-hmm. One fella, Kevin Palmieri, super good dude. He is one of the people that planted the seed, saying, hey, maybe you want to focus on one podcast instead of kind of spreading your seed, among the land there.
Right.
Try to make the one that you have right now the best possible thing. Market this as much as you can. do as many interviews. Just get this out here. Be guests. Exhaust yourself. Not exhaust yourself, but it was essentially, hey, grind till you can't grind anymore and make this as big as you want to make it, because it's going to be up to you. I mean, eventually the goal is for the work to do itself for you. And this is strictly, okay, this is now only fun. The business part is literally happening without me being here. But
Kevin is a great guy. I actually interviewed Kevin for my show.
Did you? My God, I love that guy.
Yeah, it's in the can. I think we're actually looking to a targeted release here about a week from this recording. We release one a week, although I've got the sort of interviews all set and lined up. So
nice.
He is great. I've actually talked to him a couple other times off there. He's also a fellow New Englander. I was born and raised in Connecticut. He's from Worcester, Mass. Lives a little bit north of there now, but we share that as a background. But and a great story. I mean, he talk about a guy that pulled himself up by the bootstraps and tried to figure it out. It's a really, really good story. So it's the Kevin Palmieri Show. Let's get him on here. Third man in here.
Look, I wish that guy could adopt me, but I'm pretty sure I'm older than him. I don't know.
I mean, but he has. It's a great story what he's built and what he's trying to do. And now he's really passionate about helping others to make a go of it, right? And try. We
connected great.
Yeah,
we connected great. He was sitting there. He heard my passion. He was like, "Damn, dude, I'm about to get emotional over here because I see you in me."
Yeah,
you're welcome.
There's a pathway. There's absolutely a pathway to do it out there. Have you heard this stat, Rich? And I've heard it quoted a couple different ways, but if you can get past like 20 episodes published, you're already moving into the top 10% or something.
Yeah,
is that the right stat? Is that, I don't know if that was, I couldn't remember if that came from him or somebody else, but it's a crazy number.
I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean,
it's a seemingly small hurdle to move your way up, and then you move your way up into top 5%, 1%, whatever. But then you start to talk about, okay, sponsorships, monetization, that sort of thing. But the becoming almost maybe legitimate's the right word, but getting to that point, it's really, it's at that 20, 25 episode mark. So you're cruising way past that. And that, which stick to itness is a big part of it. Right. And you've got that in spades. So that's awesome.
And I got a super supportive wife too, which definitely helps. I mean,
fantastic.
She takes a bit of a back seat for this stuff. And it's not intentional, but I am a bit of a tunnel vision fella. So, I can't thank her enough for just dealing with my just laser focused kind of approach to things.
Yeah, but interesting. So within EOS, which is it's based on a book called Traction, written by a gentleman named Gino Wickman. But at the core of that is how folks think and how they act, and really what roles do people play in an organization to be successful. And one of the roles, the role that you're playing right now is that visionary role, the idea guy, the person that's thinking about, okay, how do I do this, that, 30 new ideas a week, and you're always pushing into new boundaries and making a way for it, right? I mean, that's what I'm hearing from you as you're talking. And you're also right now playing the role of this is the get things done guy, because you have to do that because you're doing it all yourself. I'm excited for you when you get to that place where you can have someone do that for you, and then you can really be all in that visionary space. Yeah. And don't have to be in the execution space as much. We call that role the integrator role, and that's the person that is the glue person and does all that stuff, all the dirty work, gets all the things happening, and then you start to build out a team from there. So you're wearing all the hats right now, but excited for you as things grow for you to be able to lose a hat, so to speak, and focus on the one that really is where it strikes a chord with you, because I can hear it.
And that's it's a small worry for me too, because I think of that. It's like, this is my hat. I don't think I want you to wear my hat. It's my hat. It's special to me. So, but no, I mean, absolutely. I would love to have, because I'm operating in the red. I'm making no money. Anyone that believes that some podcasters are, now, obviously some podcasters are doing very well for themselves, but they've also been at it for years. And maybe even the ones that haven't been there for years, they knew the right people and they kind of lucked up into a great situation. That's not me.
Yeah, it's going to take time. I mean, no one that I've talked to, and I've talked to a bunch of other folks that have gone down this path. No one I've talked to said it's an instant. Oh, you know, someone's automatically going to start listening to you. And furthermore, the listens can be called ego metrics. I heard that on a podcast. I think it was Captivate was doing it. I think it was one of their shows, but it was really like don't get stuck in those ego metrics. Or maybe it was from Podmatch. I want to make sure I give the right credit. I apologize if I missed one, but the point being, those are met downloads, listens. Those are great, but you want to have the right people listen to it, the right people that'll follow those calls to action, that you have the right people that are going to help you move it forward. And that's the most critical thing. So understanding who you're speaking to in that audience and crafting what you're talking about to them, so they're interested and they're going to hit follow, hit subscribe, hit on that next episode, be looking forward to that next episode dropping in their podcast player. Like that's way more important than random follows, one-time listens, all that stuff, which is going to get you no traction.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because we started where we each had, I had a group chat, he had like 2 other group chats, and every time we would download or record, we'd send it out via text, and then we'd put it on the socials. I've never really been a social media person, but now I absolutely am, because I have to be, because, you know, this job dictates as such. And one day I'm just like, oh man, you know what? This has got to be annoying. Like every week or every 2 times a week, you're getting a random text message with 15, 16 people in the message. It's like, So I made another decision. I said, okay, this is the last time we're actually texting this out. Said it on the podcast, said it in a text, and told people, listen, we're like 20 episodes in. If you're not going to subscribe, then you're probably not going to. But here is your call to action. Subscribe to it, get notified, you know, start having conversations. Yeah, just the normal kind of spiel. But it kind of put people, and I hate to say it this way, but it kind of allowed me to see who was going to stick around. Yeah, how many of those followers were going to actually not have to have their hand held. They're going to actively hit. I mean, not that it takes a lot to hit a subscribe button, but still, you know, it's almost a submission to your art, for lack of a better term. So yes, I want a machine to tell me when your stuff comes out, and it's up to me to listen to it. I'm not held to any level of accountability via responding to a text or anything like that. And I actually kind of think, along with that and the interviews I'm doing, because that obviously is adding exposure, the numbers have, I would say at bare minimum, they have stayed the same, but I really kind of believe they've grown, you know, some.
Nice.
And
are you tracking them very closely? Do you pay attention to that or
God, yeah. It's
okay,
disgusting.
So you're checking. I thought I heard you on one of your shows indicate that you've at least slowed down a little bit. It's not every 5 seconds, it's every 10 seconds or something.
It's every 10 seconds now. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean,
you've evolved. Look at that evolution. That's
you know what? It's called growth. It's called growth.
Look at you've grown double.
Very
you've
proud.
2 times from 5 to 10. Double the patience you've added. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I don't really necessarily focus on the large number. I mean, I know what it is at pretty much all times. What is more intriguing to me is the weekly number. That's where that's where my bread and butter is. And because I get it, ebbs and flows. I mean, the first week of July sucked because 4th of July. People aren't really around. You know, they're not really caring too much. They have long weekends, whatever. Absolutely fine. But I get how you said the ego metric, because that'll pump your head up real quick, but then it can also deflate you real quick too.
Oh, in both ways. Like, wait a second, I worked hard on this. Production. I've invested some of my own money into this, and all of a sudden, 21 people. Okay. Yay. I know more people than that, but that's right. It's a beginning. And you actually said something. You said it's actually not that hard of an act to press that subscribe or follow button, but it actually is. Folks don't think about that. They don't want to be bothered by it. And that's why it's so critical to figure out, okay, this is my audience. This is what I'm trying to get from it. And this is what's going to satisfy me. And right now for you, it's the act of doing is that's the satisfaction. So, hey, you go with that, and then it'll become something. As we talked about, you're thinking about it, it's going to become something. Sticking with it is going to be the most critical thing that you can do right now.
Yeah, I feel the worst thing you can do is press. It's kind of, I mean, we're both sports guys, think of a baseball player in, 0 for 10 slump. He's going to start doing a bunch of things he doesn't normally do because he's pressing to get out of that slump. When in all actuality, one, you have to realize the ebbs and flows of it. But secondly, just do what you've been doing your whole life. You'll get back to, you're there for a reason. You're there because you did what you've been doing your whole life. You'll get back into the groove. So you don't need to. So if I focus so much on those numbers and not the passion of it, I think at that point I would start doing, and this is what I didn't want to do. I didn't want this to be a podcast that, I guess, caters to like trending flows or trend. Just
Right.
I don't want to cater to trends.
You want it to be your own.
I want this to be a very organic thing.
Your voice, your own. Let it carry forward. Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Yeah, this is the message you have around podcasting. This is a business for you. And look, a lot of small businesses take a while before they make it from the red to the black. So no different there. You're on that journey that, like I said, whether you've opened up a shoe store or decided to open up a service business, or you're a new attorney hanging your shingle. You don't get clients just because you all of a sudden said, "Oh, I'm this now."
Right. Right.
I'm this. Okay, great. What are you going to do? How are you going to actually gain some ground and move that forward? And that's the reality check that I spend my time with and talk to so many small business owners around. Is okay, great. You're doing it. That's fantastic. What are the steps we're going to take to actually have this thing go forward? And that was the old rubber meets the road. And I spent a lot of time talking with folks about that. There are various stages of growth there. We'll talk to folks say, "Oh, I've got X million in revenue, but I want to be at X times 2 or X times 3. Oh, okay. So what are you going to do differently that you're not doing today to have it? Because that's not going to happen given today, right? So no matter whether you're thinking launch time or even how am I going to get to the next level time, the lessons are the same. Stay the course, have a plan, be intentional, and get after it.
That's beautiful, man. Here's what we're gonna do.
Okay,
we're gonna switch this a little bit because I'm like, oh Jesus, this is exactly what's happening that I thought was gonna happen is happening, and I want to switch it so we can actually talk about you.
Oh, because, okay. Well, look, hey, sure, get to talk about myself. How fun! No,
I know
exactly.
So I guess the kind of maybe the low hanging fruit, but probably worded in a different way. Why should we go to you instead of somebody else for your business acumen and advice and what have you?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a fair question. And look, from my perspective, like you've got to find one. Here's the lesson that we talk about with every entrepreneur, that you need to find an operating system for your business, right? You've got to find a way that you're going to be able to execute on what it is that you are trying to build, that vision that you have, whether it's a product, service, whatever that idea is, you've got to execute on it. So find an operating system that makes sense to you. EOS, what I do, is one of many operating systems, but you've got to find one and then you've got to stick to it. So that's the first thing we put to any potential client or someone that's saying, okay, what is EOS? What's it all about? Pick one, right? There's a bunch of answers. That's the first thing. The second thing is make sure that the person that you're going to work with, in my case, the coach, the EOS implementer, is someone that you want to spend time with, because we dig deep about into your business, into your plans, into the team that you've built, into you. Like we're going to do a lot of good, hard work to really make sure that you're getting everything you want out of that in your business, and that you've got the right team in place and the health associated with it. So you've got to connect really well with that person. So we offer any potential client a chance to sit down with us, and we do two things. We talk about ourselves, we learn about their business, and then we tell them about EOS. And it's a bit of a matchmaking session, for lack of a better term, where we're trying to bring that concept alive, but they're also getting a real good sense of who I am. And I get a good sense of who they are, because it really needs to work both ways. And so I share my experiences, my journey as an entrepreneur, my journey as in coaching, and say, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. I hope it's a hit, but if it's not a match, it's probably doesn't make sense for us to go forward. Even if I'd love to have the new client, it wouldn't make sense to do it in that way. So you've got to be in that headspace. So pick an operating system, find the coach that is the right match for you, either a referral from somebody you trust, or go through a 90-minute meeting with someone like me and say, okay, is this the right match for me? Like, do I like this guy or gal that I'm talking to? So critical, because the coaching relationship is so intense and can get quite intimate, and you've got to really make sure that match is there. So that's how we like to talk about. That's how we position. And then I'm happy to share, my story as to why, I think I can offer that up to certain clients, but I really think a jumping off point for anyone that's in a small business thinking about, I need to bring someone in from the outside. I need to gain some traction in this business. Where do I start? That's where I would start.
You know what, me personally, hearing that, I think the biggest thing that I extracted from that, honestly, it sounds like you're more like you actually have a moral compass. And I feel like that's rare with, anybody nowadays, but especially in someone that you would be giving money to, hey, help me with my business. Because you very well, like you said, could just take you on as a client, but if it's not actually going to be mutually beneficial, it's kind of like, it's like you're a murderer and you go to a defense attorney and you go there with blood over your hands. I didn't do it. Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure there's a head in your basket right now. It makes sense. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, that's just a couple things that for us that we really do live, right? So our core values: help first. Let's just make sure that a business is getting the help it needs, and if that help is something that I can provide, great. And if it's no, I need to send you in a different direction, that's okay too. So you've got to have that help first mentality, and then you've got we do what we say, right? We want to make sure that when we are representing ourselves, we are representing ourselves in a way that you're going to get that from us. And the beauty of when you work with someone like me with EOS is not only do you get me, but I can really lean on almost 650 other folks who work for EOS doing what I do. And what I do is if you have a question about your business that I have not experienced, haven't had a client that's experienced, or really can't give you good help on that, I can ping someone who I know has done that. If you're a business, say, boy, I want to hear about, this would never work in my dry cleaning business. Okay, well, let me talk to you. Let me share with you someone who's implemented EOS in their dry cleaning business or pick your business. So we have such a wealth of experience, knowledge, the community that EOS has brings forth into each and every client relationship. There's a lot behind just me showing up, talking to you, and helping you work through the tools that we have that make up EOS. So it's a big value add. And one of the things that was most attractive to me when I made the decision to go down this path, just what this community, the group of individuals that we have that do this, there's a lot of power in that community. And it certainly is reinvigorating every time we get together.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, and you kind of already set the groundwork for it. What really made you get into this? Like,
yeah.
For
sure. Yeah. So a couple of things. It was kind of a bunch of things that came together really all at one time. So beyond the podcast and the coaching business, my wife and I actually are the owners of a haircut and color franchise that we've had now for 7 years. And for those that can't see me on video, I'm a bald guy.
I was going to say, how'd that go for you there, buddy?
Yeah. Number one customer, right? So I'm a bald guy.
I'm bald too. It's fine.
That owns a haircut and color shop. But it was something that we got into initially as an investment. And obviously with any small business, it becomes something more than that. And to her credit, you were talking about your wife and being supportive. My wife runs that business for us day in, day out. We went into it together, but she's the one that runs it. But I learned a lot, right? There were some days early on running that business. I mean, I vividly remember early on, we employed a bunch of folks. No one was coming in because we were brand new. And my wife turned and said, you do realize that we have to make payroll on Friday, right? And I said, I'm aware, and I'll be transferring money out of our savings account to make that happen, because payroll was the first thing that had to happen. And that's just I'm like, the business owners that I talk to, like, they have been there, or they may be or they may be there right now. So immediately I'm like, okay, I get where you're coming from. So we can talk about that in my own journey of that business ownership and the things that we did to turn it around from that point to where today it is actually cooking with gas. So that journey is something to share. I also spent a long career leading large operations, executing, building scorecards, coaching others. So I have this execution side of my life through leading these large scale operations. And I'm like, okay, I was introduced to EOS last summer, and it's like, oh, I can execute on stuff. I love to coach, and I'm a small business owner, and there's a story there to tell. And you bring those together, and it was like, oh, this is really the purpose that I need to take carrying forward. How can I share what I've learned here? Not that I know everything, but I've got some knowledge here to share, and bring that to bear with some folks that maybe at one of those stages in their journey and can bring that forward to them. So that all kind of came together last summer for me, Rich. It was kind of a crazy thing where I wasn't intending to go there, but all of a sudden looked around and said, this is where I need to be. And I got started.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool little, it came to you, but you kind of met it in the middle type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know the tools and the terminology associated with the Entrepreneurial Operating System program. That I did not know, but I knew how to run a business and I knew how to lead people. And I'd been doing a lot of things, but just calling it something different. So when I actually did sort of the reading and the research and kind of the academic side of EOS, as I'm reading the book, I'm a big reader. I love to read fiction, nonfiction. I just kind of consume it all. And it's one of those things, you're reading a book, you're going, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. Like, okay, boom, light bulb moment here. This is something that is all coming together. So I had that academic side of it. And I said, okay, how am I going to take this forward? And then begin my research on what it actually took to become part of this EOS community. So happy I made the call.
You got to love how, you're able to, at least kind of in the real time, have kind of that hindsight and see, yeah, you know what? Made a good call here. Made a good, yeah. This was a good decision. I didn't poop my pants. It went well.
I didn't have those when I started with the franchise and the haircut side. I had plenty of those. Why did I make this decision again? Right. So absolutely have been on that side of it. And that was a newer franchise that had established itself and was trying to branch out, and we just had to learn a lot of lessons as part of that branching out. And we were one of the first locations outside of their core market. And we learned those lessons the hard way, real time, day to day, like, oh, this operating model that we've been presented with is not the right one for how we're going to actually do this. Ironically, while we were learning those hard lessons, when COVID hit, we thought we had bought a business that was internet proof, right? Haircut, everyone, not COVID proof, internet proof.
Boy.
You don't foresee in 2017 when you open a haircut shop that you would actually not be able to cut hair in 2020. Right? You did. So yeah, we're never going to lose our storefront because of someone doing it better online. All right, that's not happening, at least yet. But then COVID happens, which no one saw coming. But, I will say this, you talk about finding a silver lining in a tough spot. So yeah, Arizona closed down for 6 to 8 weeks where we weren't doing that. But when we reopened, some of the rules forced our hand. And then we just said, this is the only way we can make it. And we actually flipped the model of how we operated our business. We flipped it in a number of different ways. We flipped it in terms of the hours that we operated, in terms of how we booked clients, in terms of how we paid our stylists, and changed it all and reopened differently. And that made all the difference in moving forward. But so COVID was an ironic catalyst, catalyst, but hey, it happened. So learn something from it, right? Yeah. Because we really talked about it. I mean, another one of these moments in time, I'm sitting there with my wife and COVID, the stores closed down, and we're like, are we going to reopen this? Like, and how many businesses didn't, Rich? I'm one of 1 million plus businesses that went through that same conversation. Are we actually going to reopen this? Like, what does that look like? And some restaurants just said, the heck with it. Some said, nope, I'm going to do curbside and make that, and I'll close my dining room. Like, folks went all over the place. So we're not unique in that, but at least we took the time to really assess it, didn't get stuck in the old way, found a new way, and it turned out to be a better way. And it's been really a nice growth pattern since we reopened after COVID.
And it's funny you bring up the C word there.
I know it's there
because I kind of when I started doing the podcast thing, I had like a fleeting thought of, oh man, I kind of feel like I missed the boat. Should have probably started this when everybody was sitting at home. But I also had the realization that, I mean, if that was going to be the case, I would have done it. So I'm very much a believer in right time, right place, all that jazz. But I would be lying if I didn't say, be curious to see where I would be at right now in this journey if I started, 3 years ago?
I mean, if I could hand you a time machine, you would have bought Apple stock in 1985 and we wouldn't have to do work at all, right? So, I mean,
that's fair.
Right. So, I mean, look, if hindsight is there, and it's difficult, but I really try not to spend too much time there. You want to learn from those lessons.
Yeah.
But what I've just found that be smart about learning from that, but don't spend any time there because it will drive you crazy and it won't let you take the steps, take the actions you need to move forward. And, I'm a reader. I'll share this powerful book that I've read recently. It's called The Gap in the Gain. And it's written by Dan Sullivan, who is a business coach to entrepreneurs 1,000 times over, and a gentleman, Dr. Ben Hardy. But what they talk about in The Gap in the Gain is you have got to spend your time living in the gain. Think about the things that you advanced daily to move just 1, 2, 3 steps forward that day. Don't spend any time in the gap. Don't spend time thinking about what could have been, should have been, or I did this, or this didn't go well, or boy, I had a bad day. That doesn't do you any good. Acknowledge that you're in the gap and find a way to the game. Go anchor on something. So whatever that thing is, and it can be the smallest little thing, but that step forward is so powerful. And that is always a message to any small business owner, any leader. Don't spend your time in the gap. It does no one any good. It's particularly yourself. You got enough other head trash going on, and find ways to spend your day in the gain. And when you're there, that's the power of moving things forward, whether it's your podcast, Rich, or anyone else, a small business that may pick up this listen. So go read that book. It's a good book.
Small, fair enough. I mean, I'll take all the help I can get.
Yeah. Well, it's a great list too. There's those two gentlemen are fantastic. Ben Hardy actually just spoke at our EOS conference that we held. We had people come in, and he was one of the keynote speakers, and just as it just speaks to the mind of the entrepreneur and all about the psychology of that. He has a fantastic story of sort of pulling himself up as well, and what he did and how he used to live.
I love those stories.
It's great. I mean, it's a great, easy read, or an Audible if you want to listen to it. It's good. And if you're someone out there listening, or get hold of say, look, I'm just spending too much time there. I've got an idea, but I'm worried about it. Just grab the book and listen to it. You're gonna take something from it. There'll be some takeaways, some nuggets that you can have to help move your business forward.
Huh. Yeah, like just hearing those things motivate me.
Yeah.
I think that's also kind of why I've latched on to so many of these, coaches and I don't mean for it to be like selfish, but I almost feel like I gain more than the people listening to it.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. It's my damn podcast.
It's your podcast. And you know what? If you're getting something from it, then you're saying, okay, what are those listeners that are like me that would gain something from that? And they're going to find their way to me, or, my content through whatever channels it's out there will find their way to them. But why should you speak that? Why wouldn't you spend the time talking about the stuff that gets you excited? There's, if someone wants to go get excited about a true crime story podcast, well, we know where to find those. They're out there. That's not you. You're not doing that type of podcast. You're doing this type of podcast. So,
which I still have no idea what it is.
But every day you're learning a little bit more, maybe what it's not. And that's okay too. All right. It's not this. Okay, good. I know it's not that. I can take that off the list. All right, let me go try something else on. Right. That's totally cool. That's a gap. That's a gain. You're not spending the time. It's like, okay, I just learned something. It's not perfect. That's actually a win. I'll put that down and I can move forward.
It's funny. A fella asked me actually a few days ago. His name is Nick. He's one of my friends. And he asked me, how stuff is going. I was like, oh yeah, still growing, still yada yada yada. It's like, so what is it kind of even about though? Like if you could kind of put it into a box. And I will say this, before I couldn't really answer that question. Now I can put some pen to paper and get some words out. And I basically told him, we just cover things that we think are interesting, and we add our perspective, and we tend to say things that might make people uncomfortable, make them think. We like to add some humor into it, but there is a level of seriousness to us because we don't want to preach. We're not those people. We want to have fun with it, but one of the things we do, we'll have a subject, and we're not talking about it till we actually get into the pod. And the organic part of it, I think that's where we kind of differentiate ourselves from other people. Kind of to piggyback on why I asked you, why should people go to you? That was kind of the business model on our end for the pod. We want to make this a very real, organic, not formatted, kind of just the conversations that you have in the shower with yourself. Well, now you can have it with other people.
Yeah, a little free flowing conversation, right? That's
yeah.
You never know where it may go, what learnings you may have. So absolutely nothing wrong with that. And like I said, it's going to continue to evolve as you evolve and adjust as you adjust. And the things that you like to talk about, you're going to attract those folks that like to hear you talking about them, right? And that's the good news. That's good stuff. And football season's right around the corner, so you're going to have that as an anchor anyway. So you've got that right there about to happen.
And a cheap plug here. Me and my co-host are both bald, and the name of the podcast is Footballed. There you go.
Come on.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I do a return engagement with my crazy obsessed football son? We'll do a return engagement. We'll talk all things football. He'll give you
please
give you roster breakdowns for that.
See, we're fantasy guys too. I run in the league and all that.
Yeah. He's had some good fantasy things. He was towards the bottom. They had some crazy thing last year about some overeating that had to happen for the person that finished in last or something. Fortunately, I think he got himself out of the basement. I don't know if they ever executed on that, but that was whoever finishes last has to do the thing, whatever that thing is. I've heard some good ones. Have you heard the 24 hours in a Waffle House one? I think someone told me about that. That was
no, but that sounds awesome and awful.
I think maybe Matt Berry was telling that. So I like to listen to Bill Simmons. He's the pod father. He likes to call himself the pod father, but he's been doing this for a long time. So as long as he's been doing it, I've been listening to podcasts. That's
nice.
Whatever that is. That's how far back I go. But I think he had Matt Berry on last year, and they were talking about some of the craziest bets. That's the fun stuff on the fantasy side, is to do something where someone has to feel a little pain, not just the X amount of bucks you throw into the.
God, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I had something and no one didn't really get executed, but I was going to say the winner of the league gets to name the toilet bowl winner. They get to name their team name for the next year.
That's not bad.
Unfortunately, my individual league is a little. I can't even say it's pretty different than regular standard leagues because I got really tired of doing standard leagues. So my scoring is different. The roster size almost looks like a dynasty roster. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you the calendary, whatever it is, link to your email, and we can reschedule.
We'll run it back, and we'll bring on. So Richard Pittsburgh, right? So my son is crazy Bengals, so I'll have to match up. I got a buddy that's huge Steelers fan as well. I'm actually trying to steal his tickets to the Bengals Steelers game to make that happen. I don't know if we will or not, but that's
the wife's a Packers fan, and I guess we're going to that game this year. So.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the Packers fare this year.
A
little different. Doesn't look good. I have a bunch of Packers fans. Arizona's filled with Packers fans. Ironically, a lot of Midwesterners make their way down here and bring their teams. So I've got Packers and Vikings fans all around me. It is quite amazing.
That's
actually
weird.
Yeah, a lot of transplants. A lot of folks.
It would be different if you didn't have a squad over there.
Is it really a squad? I mean,
really?
You got to use that term loosely. It's going to be a long year.
I still think Kyler's a star, man. I really do believe in him.
Birdland will say, that I don't the Great Red Sea. Whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure, but the Bengals are coming to Arizona this year, so my tickets are booked, and I'll be hitting
There you
that.
go.
Yeah, so should be a W on the Bengals
And
calendar.
yeah, I was gonna say enjoy that L for
for the Cardinals.
Cards
Yeah,
there.
Be plenty of them.
Yeah.
Over under can't be much more than about 5.5. I can't imagine they're going to do much better than that. It's going to be a long.
Yeah,
long
that's
season.
probably being generous there.
Yeah, long season. Long season.
Well, look, man, I want to hold you up. I don't know what time your next. When's your next meeting at?
I'm going to be recording an episode of the Grow Your Damn Business podcast in about 20 minutes or so. So yeah, I'm moving from guesting to hosting. But as you shared your passion for the medium, I share the same. I'd like to be on both sides of it, and that particular show, we like to give voice to entrepreneurs and let them talk about what they did to make it happen and how painful it was along the way. So I'll give a shameless plug to that one.
Oh my God. Yeah. Please understand. I want you to, obviously your information's on the pod match thing. And I will put that in the description like I always do.
Great.
I'll send you my stuff if you choose to do so. Fine. Fair enough. This will be uploaded probably by no later than 9:00. So that's an hour and a half. I don't dick around. I make sure I get it out there.
You are a machine. Get this man another monster so he can get through the rest of his day. Keep it going. And,
I did tell the wife to grab some on the way home. I don't know if she did or not. That may
keep it flowing. Keep the content flowing. Well, Rich, I appreciate you having me on and enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad we went to a couple different spots. Good fun. And I wish you nothing but the best with all that you have going on. So juggling lots of things simultaneously, as many entrepreneurs do. And I'm excited to see where you take it.
Look, Scott, I appreciate it so much, man. Sincerely, you've been awesome. Like I once again love the conversational part of it. Don't like the formatted thing. You really do seem. I don't know how to. I don't want to sit here and get all fanboy or anything, but
fanboy.
Yeah, but it really sounds from everything that you shared. You really got this stuff by the short hairs here, and you seem like you're very passionate and you just know what you're doing. And really, if you're going to coach people up, you gotta, you can't just this is what I think should happen. No, this is what will happen. And this is how this works.
The beauty of it, though,
it's a super valuable thing.
Yeah. No, we spend a lot of time learning, which I enjoy, and you never know it all. And we actually, amongst one another, are always sharing something new. I mean, I'll talk to someone that's been doing what I'm doing now 4 or 5 years, and they'll post something out there on one of our shared Slack channels and say, I just had a client that went this direction. This is new for me. Haven't had it in 4 years. Can anyone help? Stuff just happens when you're talking to a client and spending a full day with them and going through all the ins and outs of their business. And it is amazing the things that are out there. Oftentimes there's similarity, so you can draw upon past experiences, but same time, something new can happen. You got to look around and go, okay, I'm going to have to go find that answer for you. And that's cool too, because yes, you got to know your stuff. And I appreciate you saying that's there. I still have a lot to learn. And we always describe it as a journey to mastery. There is no destination there. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how to get better at what we do. So appreciate you saying that, but I know for my own self, I got to get a lot better at it. So thanks again, man. Great talking to you. Great chat with you. And yeah, please, let's do it again. Football season. And we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. I'll send you the link, and I'll start uploading this as soon as we're done. But yeah, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Anytime.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. All right. Best to you. Best luck to the show.
All right, buddy. You too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.